First of all, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my page. And if you are here, obviously you are here to hear this story. And so let me just give you a background of actually how this whole journey started. Let me start off the journey by saying, or this story by saying that yes, indeed, I was addicted to pornography, and yes, indeed, it was a massive problem in my life. But let me tell you how it started and how it grew and the challenges that it posed in my personal life. And now again, I'm a pastor. I preach on the stage, all these things. A lot of people at that point might be looking at me like, yo, dude, you can't be saying these things while you're preaching. But the truth of the matter is a lot of people struggle with this, and I feel like I need to say something about it so that perhaps somebody who may be in a similar position can draw strength from this situation. And later on, my wife will come through and explain to her the day I told her about this porn addiction. So I remember I started high school in 2000 and I finished in 2005. And I remember being in grade, it's now grade 8, which was standard 6 at the time. And I remember guys speaking about, like I heard them speaking one day. We were standing at break time and they were speaking about Vaseline and cream. And I was wondering, what are these guys talking about? And at that point, I've never been exposed to anything, in that world yet. Talking about Vaseline, talking about cream, talking about those kind of things. I don't know, I'm wondering, what are these guys on about? Anyway, needless to say, I say, okay, right, cool. So now this seed is now planted in my mind. So my father used to travel a lot, used to go to America quite often. And the one here, he came back when PlayStation first came out. Now we're talking about PlayStation 1. So you can imagine, you can do the calculations, go Google when PlayStation 1 came out. And he came back from the US with a PlayStation 1. But he brought me this PlayStation 1. I was excited about it. And with the PlayStation came like a gaming book, like a little magazine that's like a book that came with the box, with the whole situation. And I remember that was the time, even the current that was used in the different countries, he had this big transformer box that he brought with so that I can play the PlayStation in South Africa. Even there was something called NTSC and PAL. You had to have a little converter to change it to color. And so he brought me this PlayStation, and he brought this magazine with the PlayStation, which was a gaming magazine, right? It had car games, football games, whatever games in this magazine. So one day after school, high school, I get home and I'm busy paging through this magazine. And in the back of the magazine, there's a racing game with Ferraris and whatever. And there's these pit crew girls, these girls that always, like when you watch Formula 1, you see these ladies walking past with like looking like they're wearing swimming costumes, like swimming suits, right? And so I saw these girls and I'm like, yo, that's pretty. And so remember, I'm a teenager, my hormones are all over the place, and boom, my body has a reaction to obviously these girls, right? And so on closer inspection, I realized that they actually weren't wearing swimsuits or those Ferrari swimsuit thingies. They were actually, completely naked. And this is a thing called body paint or body art. And so on closer inspection, I realized, oh snap, these girls are naked, And so naturally, my body's reacting to the imagery that I'm seeing. I'm a teenager. So for the first time ever, I end up, doing the thing, masturbating. And I'll never forget how I felt that day, bro. I felt dirty. I felt bad. I felt like I just committed the biggest sin in the world. I felt like I killed. There's a thought that went through my mind. I felt like I killed my child. I was like, yo, that was my child that I just killed. I felt so bad that day. And I remember that day telling myself, I'm never going to do this again. I'm never going to ever do that again. Ever. I felt so bad. But the feeling that your body gives, it's a euphoria that you get where, your body releases these, I think it's dopamine or whatever it is, but it feels amazing. And so the problem with that feeling becomes addictive, right? So I'll never forget then later on, these little, they used to drop. Remember, this is before phones. This is before touch screen, before color screen, before I mean, I had a Nokia 6210 or something like that. That was the phone I had. So there was no internet. The internet dial-up, we had one computer at the house. And that was the internet dial-up. So it was way before the days of Pornhub, way before the days of internet stuff, way before the days where guys were sending each other pictures of nude girls or videos and stuff, way before that. So at that time it was only magazines. And so what would happen was that these like Woolworths magazines or Edgar's magazines and stuff like that would have a section that would have women's underwear. And again, I saw that women's underwear section and boom, my body responded. And before I knew it, man, I realized that I'm actually addicted now. I'm actually hooked now to this thing. And so I started doing it more than I wanted to. I started doing it more often than I should have. And as this addiction is busy growing, remember, at the same time I'm living this Christian life, at the same time I'm involved in church, at the same time I'm playing, in the church band, at the same time I'm part of the camera crew, at the same time I'm, involved in church things. And so this addiction is busy growing, and I'm feeling guilty because I'm involved in church, I'm part of the church, my father's a pastor, and I'm feeling this immense feeling of shame and guilt and just feeling horrible about, this addiction that's busy growing in the background. Needless to say, the addiction begins to develop, and later on, I got a phone, a Sony Ericsson, right? It was a Sony Ericsson P900. It was the first touchscreen that I've ever had before. That was the time BlackBerry was still a thing. That was the time BBM was still a thing. And I had the Sony Ericsson touchscreen. And one day again at school, I was in Sir John High School. At school, the guys were speaking about this website. And I also just heard by chance that they were speaking about this website. And I was like, snap. So I get home and I obviously put in the website. Next thing you know, boom. That was the first like internet kind of porn that really just was, everything was there. And you can imagine now, this is now going from waiting for a Woolworths book or Edgar's magazine to wait for the lingerie section. You have it on your phone. A world of different videos, different pictures. I mean, you could literally go all over the place. So again, I always used to feel guilty. I'm never the kind of person to look at a man and a woman doing a thing. I would always just look at nude women. That would be the thing that would turn me on. Not necessarily people in the act. In fact, I never looked at people in the act or whatever. That's not even justified, because looking at nude women, if you lust at a woman, it's a sin. So already I knew that now, I'm not supposed to be doing this. It's not healthy. I need to get away from this. But the addiction, I think, started grabbing a hold of me. The addiction started just growing and growing. And the more I tried kicking the habit, the more the habit would come back with revenge. The more I tried to I'm okay, I'm going to get over this, I'm going to stop watching this, and the more the habit would come back with revenge. And so a month would become a year, and a year would become a couple of years. And later on, I get involved as a pastor myself with youth ministry, right? And so I'm having these conversations with young people. I'm telling them the dangers about porn, and I'm speaking from, and they don't know, but I'm speaking from a place of experience of how this thing can be dangerous and how this thing can mess with your mind. And you may be sitting there thinking, how is it dangerous? Number one, it messes with your spiritual life. Like, as me as a pastor, this thing messed with my spiritual life, because what it would do is it would keep you away from getting involved, like reading your Bible, because then you'd watch porn. It would keep you away from growing spiritually, because you'd always be in this constant state of feeling guilty, feeling convicted, feeling condemned, feeling convicted, feeling bad, and you'd always be in this state all the time, and slowly but surely it would start eating on your spiritual life. Slowly but surely you start slipping away, you start becoming less and less spiritual, you start becoming more fleshly. So that would do that. And the other thing it would do, it would mess with my productivity, because I'm supposed to be doing something, but then in the back of your mind you're thinking, okay, let me just watch something quickly, or let me just, masturbate quickly. And before you know it, man, it's an hour, 2 hours later, you've postponed what you wanted to do at that time, and Now that postponement, and for those of you who are struggling with porn addiction, which is 90% of you watching this video, you would know what I'm talking about. It causes procrastination. And you'd end up not being productive. You'd end up not doing things that you wanted to do because after your body released your intake or whatever, you would be tired and you'd be moody and you wouldn't feel like doing something, and you'd just feel like, I don't feel like doing this, I don't feel like doing that, and it would mess with your mental ability. So spiritually it messed with me, productive wise it messed with me, and also the way you look at women. You begin to get to a place where you can look at a woman and imagine what things would look like under the clothes, because obviously you've been exposed, and it just messes with your mind. And it really just becomes an unhealthy obsession. It becomes an unhealthy addiction. And this is just me telling my story. You can take from it what you want. So the one day I'm watching this Terry Crews video, and he says how he overcame his porn addiction. He told his wife. And so I get married, and I thought, and when people say, now when you get married, you're gonna stop masturbating because you must not have a wife. Guys, if I could tell you, that's the biggest myth under the face of the earth. The addiction is so powerful that even though you are married, you still find yourself wanting to watch porn. And so I was married, and I was married for about a year or two at that time. And I just thought, you know what, man, after watching that video, I felt so convicted, and I was like, I need to tell my wife about this. I need to speak to my wife about this. And one day I just got home after work, and I was like, I need to speak to you about something. She said, what? And I didn't know what she was going to say. I didn't know how she was going to respond. I didn't know how she was going to react. I was like, I got to speak to you about this thing. Boom. I told her. I said, look, this is my struggle. This is when I do it. This is what I watch. I go to the bathroom with my phone. And, when you think I'm in there, obviously using the bathroom, and this is what I'm doing. And, I need to ask you for forgiveness. I need you to help me get through this, because I need to get move past this. And she cried, and she said it's like cheating and da. But needless to say, I knew that in order for me to break this, I need to speak about it. And in order for me to speak about it, I need to tell my wife about it first. And I need to get to a place where, even like what I'm doing now, speak about it openly. That means I'm getting healing. That means it's working. That means I'm getting off this thing. And that's what happened, man. And I'm gonna allow my wife to now tell you, that day, what happened that day.
So yeah, I mean, the day that he told me was kind of a bit of a roller coaster ride, because how he starts off, and Xavier has this way of going to different countries before coming to the actual point. So he started off telling me about the whole Terry Crews documentary and all of that. I'm like, okay, fine, why are you telling me this? And now bear in mind, I'm of the opinion that he doesn't do these things. He doesn't delve into these things. So for me, it was like a big shock that, why are we having this conversation? Is it a topic that he just wants to delve into with the youth? What is it really? So I thought we were just having a casual conversation at first. And then he's like, I need to tell you something and all of that. And it was very, like a very heavy atmosphere. And he came out and he told me, this is what's happening, and it's been going on for so long, and I've been struggling. Sometimes it goes away for a couple of months, and then it comes back, and then I need to try and deal with it, and but I've come to the point where I realized that I needed to tell you. And for me, at that point in time, it was like a ton of bricks that hit me. The reason why, and I think a lot of people will find this controversial, like, why would you think that way? But for me personally, I felt like he had just told me that he had cheated on me. And my reasoning behind that is more like, there's a fantasy that was created that I can never live up to. So when this whole process is happening, what is going through his mind? Who is he seeing? What has he got on his phone? What is he looking at? What are the visuals he's looking at? And after he told me that, a lot of things made sense for me in our about our marriage and the intimate parts of our marriage. I think it took me about a day to fully process what he had told me, and I think I didn't really speak to you for a day or two, to sort of like just process my thought patterns and how I feel and how I'm going to process, because he didn't physically cheat on me. I can't outright say you cheated on me, even though I felt that way, because it's much harder to live up to a fantasy of something that doesn't really exist, because it's this euphoric idea for this person, and I feel like I can never live up to that, because what is going through his mind. But after he told me, we had basically put certain boundaries in place. He told me, and he deleted everything off of his phone, and there was an open door policy. So I introduced a closed door policy when we got married. So I feel like going to the bathroom is my absolute private time. And Xavier always used to wonder, like, why must you close the door? It's just the way I'm wired. And I think he fell into the same trap. But then after that when he came clean and he told me about that, he went back to his open door policy to say, okay, fine, look, here's my phone. Whenever he goes to the bathroom or whatever, he doesn't take his phone with, or the door's open, I can go in whenever. Not that I would, because I just feel like that's someone's private time. But there was that open door trust, or rather that transparency that we tried to create between the two of us. The other one is also that when he struggled with it, and the only reason why he would struggle with it is if we weren't communicating about our intimacy often enough. So for us, it was a matter of, let's speak about how we feel about our intimate sessions. And another thing that basically that we did was, we had our phones was open. At any point in time, we can swap phones, or he can give me his phone or leave his phone at home, whether it's charging or whether I need to do something on it. And there's nothing on there. I have access to it at any time. But something that was, for me, that was very profound during the whole process, and that sort of like made sense towards the end, or rather like growing and trying to figure this whole thing out, was that our intimacy became so much better. Because in the beginning, there was something missing. There was this feeling of being objectified. Is that a word? Objectified. And then after we spoke about it and after we dealt with it, obviously the process started, and it took a bit of a while. But then after that, I felt like, I felt like the intimacy grew. We grew closer in intimacy with one another. There wasn't that gap where you feel like you're being objectified. Okay, I'm done now. Let's go on with our lives. There was more a caring caress, but also a romance factor that came back, or that came into play after we dealt with it.
So yeah, man, that's my story. That's my journey with porn addiction. And if you are struggling with that, I want you to not be ashamed. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared to speak about it. Don't be scared to say, hey, listen, I'm struggling in this area. And give me a comment in the comment section. Say, hey, my brother, listen. Especially guys, if there's ladies, I'm going to refer you to Anka, because it's a sensitive topic, and it can get out of hand. But especially as gents, I've spoken to other guys that will never admit this in public. But I've spoken to guys that are in leadership positions, and they're like, dude, I'm struggling with the same thing. And I think it's a conversation that needs to be held. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had. And I think the guys should be liberated to be able to tell their wives, or speak about it openly and say, look, I'm struggling in this area and I need help. And that's why I'm taking the step. I'm taking a bold step. Somebody may laugh at me. Somebody may see it as a weakness. But it's a strength to speak about something that you were struggling with for so many years, and come out and share your testimony, especially in the position I'm in. I'm a pastor. People see me on stage. People respect me to a certain degree, and I come out and I say this. But I think it's more authentic to be real, and not to try to hide what's really going on, or what's been going on, in this attempt to have this false sense of, I'm okay and I'm fine and I'm so holy and look at me, as opposed to saying, guys, this is real life, man. It's what I struggled with, and this is how I got through it, and this is how I got over it. And so we put boundaries in place, like Anka said, and as the conversation progressed, this is how I managed to beat my addiction. And obviously spiritually also, really speaking to God about it and really pushing spiritually. And when you do feel the urge, or when I do feel the urge, I'm like, yo, I need to get rid of this urge. And the scripture that says, resist the devil and he will flee. And I resist it, and I get involved in scripture rather, or in productivity, or doing what I need to do to be productive. And that's how I literally ended up, kicking the habit of addiction, my porn addiction. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you did learn something from it. If there's any questions, comments, I'm going to be here to check what you guys are saying, and that's going to be my story. So thank you guys so much for watching today. Please do subscribe to my Patreon account. There's going to be more videos. I'm going to try and post a video once I want to do once a week like this, and actually get you content. And if there's a conversation you would like us to have, I'm an open book. Let's have that conversation. If there's something you're struggling with, you can go under anonymous and say, hey Zach, speak about this, touch on this. We'll go on it and we'll touch on it. But guys, thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please don't forget, go and share this video with somebody you think needs to hear this or see this. And please, thank you so much. See you on the next one. Love you. Bye bye.